3, 2, 1. Checking some audios. See what we got here. Check out everything. Oh, we're good on YouTube, and I assume we're good on Facebook too. If we're good on YouTube, it's not letting me pop it up on Facebook. Well, maybe. We're good.
Maybe we're good. Maybe we're not.
Yeah. So hello and welcome back to 100 Proof Whitetails, first episode of the 2024 video season, whatever you want to call it.
2024.
Deer season's all wrapped up, and we got a few things going tonight for plans. We are going to give away the last Woodford Bottle, the 3 of 3, and we're going to fresh crack a Blant Holmes. So a couple cool things. Got a couple topics tonight. So yeah, man. Well, deer season kind of was, I don't know, uneventful end for me. Couldn't get the deer that I wanted to get in front of me, and then the does that I was thinking about shooting just weren't within range of me. So, but
that was your muzzleloader season?
Yeah, pretty much. That about sums up all of it. Mm-hmm. Or too late. You name it. But, trying to figure out a good balance for not having food on the one piece I wanted to hunt. For that buck I was after, the one that I hit during bow season D, and just trying to, basically get another chance to get another round at him, and I just didn't end up seeing him. He's been around off and on camera, so hopefully he made it through. I haven't heard of anybody getting them. We'll see. But what about you?
The whole year was kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
Bow season, had some encounters. I saw 5 shooters.
Yep.
None of them gave me a shot. That was frustrating. And then the neighbors started planking them off one by one.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one, the one neighbor found dead on his piece. That was kind of frustrating. Gun season, bow season I did get a doe. And then gun season, when it came to bucks, saw a couple little ones. I didn't really see anything during gun season. I ended up shooting another doe. Gun season, muzzleloader, I was excited for because the piece that I lease, the farmer finally got his corn off. I went out there, a bunch of does filed out, no mature bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of hunted all muzzleloader, waiting on a mature buck. Had some decent ones on camera, but they were all nocturnal pretty much.
Yeah, it was tough, dude.
None of them ever crossed my path, and I did end up taking another doe with a muzzleloader, and that about wraps up my season.
Right. Well, that was one.
Can't say I didn't put forth the effort.
Yeah, no, definitely a lot of stand hours this year. I wasn't actually even seeing, typically our rule for does is a 5 or more group, you drop it. And I was seeing those, small family groups of 3s and 4s a lot of times. And the one thing I wasn't seeing a whole lot this year was button bucks for whatever reason. I don't know what the reasoning for that is or whatnot, but maybe mom kicked them out early and kicked them off the piece. And
I see some button hogs on my pieces.
I saw a few, but not typically, dude. That's usually what you see on the feed all the time. So, but the other thing we didn't get those big temperature fronts. We didn't get snow that much. Some of the stuff you look forward to hunting those food sources that we find and stuff like that. And the deer just seem so spread out. They weren't really as concentrated, I guess, this year as they've been in years past, I've noticed. And I think partly because we were, I think it was it maybe News Channel 8? We were the second or third highest average temperature in New York State history for recorded history. We've had the last 4 years have been in the top 15. So we are well above average for our temperatures and stuff like that. We just haven't had the snow. We've had the rain, but no snow.
Plenty of rain.
Yeah, but no, it's been it was a
We
grind
didn't
there.
get that big temperature drop.
No big fronts, really.
2022's opening day at gun, there was snow on the ground. It was snowing.
Yep, that was a good little front, but
we didn't get really any, maybe 2
days of snow maybe where we are anyway in the summer.
And the snow's gone by
the next day or the day after. Yeah, we haven't had measurable. I've had one phone.
The weather was frustrating.
One call in for snow removal, and it wasn't even snow removal; it was salting. You know what I mean? We were scraping a couple of spots where it drifted, maybe, but that was it. But nothing even measurable. Like I wouldn't even call it. I'd call it a dust.
Yeah, blanket.
Yeah, a blanket. But so we are actually giving away that last Woodford bottle tonight. So anybody tuning in right now, you comment in anything to the conversation, even saying, "Hey, what's up?" Any questions or comments, you'll be automatically entered to win. And we got a few comments that rolled in. Dave Todd says, "Happy New Year, boys." Happy New Year, Dave.
New Year, Dave.
Thank you. And Bo Hunt says, "Habitat season." Yep, we got that on the to-do list to talk about tonight.
It's on the docket.
It's on the docket. Got our fancy dancy list that we literally started when we were coming on with this. Shannon Joe says, "Hey guys, Happy New Year." Happy New Year. One of the original winners of, what was it, Hoodie, I think, way back when.
She was the first winner ever.
First winner ever we had on the show. So long-time listener. A lot of long-time listeners. Dave, Bo, and Shannon, I think, have been just about listening to us right along with it. So the one thing I'm actually excited for, maybe this weekend or, maybe even an afternoon we could go do it quick, is head over to our new piece that we're hunting this upcoming year, maybe get a small card pull in.
Yeah, check that out.
Yep, we did get cameras out, did some scouting, and we probably identified I think 4 good stand locations.
Yeah, solid 3 at least.
Yeah. So, and then places that we could put like a little pop-up blind setup or something like that, going forward too. But that'll all change next year. I was talking to the landowner. It sounds like he's open to letting us do some food plots and whatever makes the wildlife happier is how he put it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay.
Sounds good.
We can do that. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what we get on camera over there. Not a lot of food on that piece right now. There's the hayfield, but
there's a little bit of harvested beans and a little hayfield.
Yeah, but they didn't leave anything in that bean field. That thing is bare.
Yeah.
But if they put it to beans again next year, I got to meet with the farmer out there. The owner wants me to meet with the farmer, thinking like February or something. Get a plan for this upcoming year. If he's going beans again on another year, I'm thinking 100 proof mix in pockets right into the beans, broadcast it right into them.
Mm-hmm.
So that way we would have a food source to hunt over right now, because I think that would be a slamming spot.
Oh yeah.
But we got to go over there and do a little bit more scouting in the off season, maybe some shed hunting. But I guess that all depends on what we get on camera. We get no bucks on camera. No reason to really go look for sheds out there. So Matt Munson's commenting in, says, "Hey yo," hey Matt, thanks for tuning in. So, but yeah, I'm really really excited about that piece. It's I don't know, probably for you and for me, probably the furthest piece I guess we have away from our houses.
Yeah,
pretty close.
Yeah, I mean the farthest piece I hunt's only like 15 minutes.
Yeah, but that's nice to be able to spread around different pieces and be able to spread that pressure around and not hammer down on them. So
it'll be fun. It'll be fun to, I guess, hunt with somebody that has similar values. Actually, hunt with a buddy. I've been hunting solo for a few years, minus maybe taking my wife out or maybe doing one little buddy hunt during like Lake Gun or muzzleloader or something. But
yeah,
I mean, it'll be fun to actually. I'm excited to actually go out there and hunt it with you, who kind of has a similar. We don't agree on everything, but a similar mindset and similar values to hunting, and kind of the same goal. We're both would be working towards the same goal. We wouldn't be fighting each other out there, I don't think.
And I'm sure we'll be talking about on upcoming episodes or whatever, our hit list or whatever, what we got going on with that piece, different projects. Maybe put up some YouTube videos on some stuff we got going on over there.
We should put up a couple Did we ever put up the videos of the turkey hunt,
We could do
the
that.
recovery
I could
of
get those.
Hornet, the recovery of my muzzleloader buck a few years back?
I got to go through that phone, that new phone. But yeah, I can
We
get
should
those
load
up.
them up on the page and people can view them.
Yep.
I don't know, you can do it on YouTube or
We can put it on YouTube and put it on the page on Facebook too with it.
The turkey hunt. Well, we could actually post both turkey hunts. The one was mint.
Yeah.
The one 2 years ago, that's textbook.
That one's been up there. We can repost that one. They'll get everybody ready for
the one this year. I scared the camera guy.
Sorry.
Then you get a bird in the frame.
What you sawed off the brush right in front of my feet. Oh, but no, that was we got him, rolled him. But it was a little bit of. I thought Nate was like, I thought he was asking me if I wanted to shoot, and I was like, no, and he thought that I was saying that I was on him. And I was like, yeah.
I said, all you. I was like, you good? You on him? And you're like, yeah.
All you.
You're like, all you. I'm like, boom! Hey, bird's not even in the frame of the camera. Sticks are flying in front of it.
Hey, we got him.
You did get the bird, I think, in the corner flapping around.
Yeah,
he was kind of walking into frame, I guess.
I figured they were going to come out that logging road and they kind of came up out of the timber instead. Yeah. I was figuring they're going to come up on that logging road, come right out that way. Or fly out in the field. We heard a couple of them fly down, but.
Amateur hour there.
Yeah, whatever. Bird's dead. And then the other one, we're just sitting there drinking coffee, and here comes two stupid longbeards. Yeah, two stupid longbeards rolling across the field. That would have been
that was the most unethical. I wouldn't say unethical, but like bizarre. That was one of the most bizarre hunts I've ever been on. That actually turned out successful.
Well, and then the
whole thing was bizarre.
That is another good point where I circle back on some of my turkey spots from where I set up that morning in that mid-morning time frame, that second shift, 9 o'clock time, and do some more calling at them. Especially a spot like that. That Dust Bowl dude is going to be dynamite for like years to come. That way, you just, like you said, pack a coffee and a breakfast sandwich and just sit there.
I think it's just where they go to
blow. Yeah, after scouting that and finding that spot, I think that's going to be
a couple little calls, decoy, and they're just there.
Yeah. Matt says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Bo, you guys considering hunting out of state this next year? I don't have any general plans to do it. I will have.
We've been talking about
it. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Ben's gonna have a newborn.
I'm gonna have not a newborn at that point. She'll be like 6 months or so old.
Close enough.
6-7 months. So, yeah, she's due end of March. So yeah, probably about 6-7 months old, going into season. So, I got nothing like far out of state planned. We've always talked about maybe going like Ohio or Pennsylvania or something like that, but with the habitat projects on Nate's hunting pieces, my piece, and then the one that we have permission on, we got a pretty big docket this year. And again, we want to. It's tough, dude. When the hunting is this good close to home, it's tough to want to go, someplace else. But we've talked about it. Maybe we'll get more into it in upcoming years, but.
It'd be fun to do a long weekend or something. Go to Ohio, some state land.
Yeah, I think
something new.
But I was talking to a couple guys, and they said that some of those states like Ohio right now are just getting pounded, dude, by guys.
They're over. Ohio's
getting
a big name for itself.
Yeah, the secret is out, especially buying over the counter. It's not like you got wait a couple years to draw a tag or something. So
it's I wouldn't say it's trending. Or it has trended.
Yeah, it's trending.
It's
viraling.
Yeah. Ohio public land deer hunting is going viral.
Yeah. So
everybody's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, we'll see. It's always something that there's always, I guess, a possibility for it too. But I mean, this year was kind of a grind for us for bow season. I didn't connect. Nate was just out of range on a couple of his targets. Which is why we got so much effort we're putting into next year to get it right. But it's tough, dude. When you're just grinding here, it's not like we did it last year and made it look super easy. Almost.
The past 2 years.
Yeah, the last couple of years make it look almost too easy. You have those grind years. And I mean, it wasn't for lack of effort or whatever you want to call it. It just didn't line up. Sometimes it just doesn't. what can you say, man? That's about it.
That's why it's hunting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Tyler Jensen says, Happy New Year, boys. Happy New Year, Tyler. Thanks for tuning in. We are doing the last Woodford Bottle giveaway as well. Keep reminding folks about that.
So what do they got to do? Just comment?
Comment in. Join the conversation. Again? Yep. Just plain Jane, join in the conversation. So, yeah. Dave says, I have a fair amount of buckthorn trees scattered on my property. Would you hinge cut it or take it out completely? So buckthorn, a couple things you can do with them. They stay green later, so sometimes I'll leave them around a stand tree if it works for cover, for especially that early bow season, especially if you don't have a lot of cover in that spot. Buckthorn, you can typically cut them off flush to the ground, and when they're young and they start resprouting, I've seen a lot of deer browse on them. Rather than trying to rip them out with like a mini X or a skid steer, just it's quite a bit of work, pretty labor intensive. So, they don't hinge cut very well. I will say that from experience. But if you cut them off flush cut or whatever you want to call it, like knee high or shin high or whatever, they should sprout right back up in the spring, and the deer will browse on them. It's when they get older and mature, and then you can cut them off. Just go back through the chainsaw in a couple of years, and if they get size of your wrist or so again, cut them off again and let them resprout again. Don't have to necessarily hinge them, but you can use them cut off to, also block other deer trails, stuff like that, pinch them down. There's stuff you can use with them. You can do a herbicide treatment on the stump after you cut them if you do want to kill them and not have them resprout. If it's just small, scattered, isolated ones and not big pockets of them, I wouldn't worry about killing them off as much. Just cut them off, let the deer browse them a little bit. He does have a lot of hawthorn on his property. I remember some native hawthorn. They love browsing that too when you cut that flush cut too. So, it just depends on what your goal is for that spot and what you're doing with it. But it's not like he's got big buckthorn thickets like some pieces that we hunt. Some of those old pasture lots where we are now that were pastured
I like that.
40 years ago. Oh, it's good cover. If you can go in there. Yeah, if you can go in there and knock in some holes in it and stuff like that too, give them some cover. Yeah, definitely can be. Especially if that's the only game in town. If you're getting into some more broke up ag country, it can be the only bedding in town. And you can fit a lot of deer in there because they can't see very far. There's not that social stress and that social pressure with it. So, but yeah, I really don't have a vendetta necessarily against buckthorn. Honeysuckle pockets are a little different. They get a little bit too overcrowded because they got that. They put that. I don't want to say solution, but I'll just use the word solution. Solution in the soil that makes it allelopathic. Allelopathic, that is the term. That makes it so other stuff can't grow and germinate around them. They put that in the soil. So that's the only reason I don't really like honeysuckle, because not much else grows in there with it. That stuff I will rip out or spray with herbicide to get rid of. And same thing, pocket it out, keeping some of that cover. If you take all the cover out of a spot, you're just taking all the cover value out.
Kind of ruining it.
Yep. That was Don Lucas comments in. Hey, Donnie says, Happy New Year, guys. Gearing up for habitat season. Yep, we were just talking about that. My big project is a new access trail. Obviously, food plots. I have some stuff I got to frost seed. Some plots that are coming out of turnip rotation. They're going to be frost seeded this year. Some oak tree release. I'm finally going to try to hopefully get out and do some of that. Shed hunting, obviously. That's not really habitat, but shed hunting, obviously, later on.
It's kind of like scouting.
Yeah, but we do have some habitat plans for a couple of Nate's pieces, and again, the piece probably will do some stand setups. If the weather holds like this, dude, we can get out there and get some stand sets, maybe on the new piece. And you talked about one or two you wanted to get up on another piece, and get them out there right now.
I just gotta get the stands put together.
The garage is all cleared out. I don't know if you saw you got to help me get that shelf in my truck to take back to work though.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, that's why that was out there.
But I plan on doing a little bit of frost seeding, and got some plans for the 100 proof mix. A couple stands I got to put up.
Yeah.
A couple pieces. But
yeah. But you got a pile. I mean, I did a little inventory.
Pile of stuff to do.
I had a little inventory the
And I
other
have
day.
things I would like to do.
Yeah, I got 8 stands right now that aren't out there, and probably 2 that I'm going to pull out to move somewhere. So I got plenty of stands too for the new piece.
I got a couple.
I got 2 that got to come off my lease that I'm letting go this year. So I got 2 that'll be coming out of that spot. But other than that, that's really about it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But habitat wise, just releasing some generic stuff. I'm gonna start pumping out some more videos here. Usually I hit the ground running pretty hard in the first of the year with like YouTube videos and stuff like that. But
I got some cutting I want to do.
Yeah.
Kind of what you were touching on earlier. I gotta go down there and I gotta really look at it, but really try and pinch these deer down in this one area. I want to see what I can do to do that. I gotta get in there and look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, again, dude, if this weather keeps holding like this, shoot.
Whatever.
The only thing right now it stinks is I wish it was a little bit firmer because it's just muddy. Yeah. Like it's been hard for keeping
nice to be able to drive the truck out there.
Keeping our birds and stuff clean. We've been throwing out any kind of scrap excess piece of hay that we got. We've been pulling it out of the horse pasture, the waste they got from feeding them in the mornings, to the stuff that gets dropped in between the stalls and everything like that. Just trying to keep them so they don't get any issues with their feet with all the moisture, any fungus or anything like that developing. So Bo says, what was your favorite piece of Huntworth gear that you guys purchased this year? What piece do you like, Nate? He wants you to model that for him.
I know. I think he's interested in it.
Yeah.
I would have to say I really like I like it all, but my favorite piece is probably the hoodie I got. Mm-hmm. It comes with a built-in face mask. It's a light gear.
It's the hood, and then it's like in the hood almost.
Yeah, and you just like pull it up around your hood. It has a built-in face mask. It's quiet. It's loose. I mean, it's for early bow season and like turkey season kind of stuff. But that, and I really like the pants that came with it.
Yep. Yeah, it was a good system, dude. When I was there helping you unbox it that day.
The only complaint I guess I would have about it is with the Ketchikan jacket and the Ketchikan pants.
Okay.
And the ones I got with the Terran pattern on it.
Yep.
Camo pattern. Is that the jacket, I wish the bottom fit more to the waist size. It has a pull string. It kind of sits out. Like they make it so it sits out for different size people, I'm thinking. And then it's got like the pull strings that tighten it down. But when you sit with those pull strings, it likes to ride up a little bit.
Because it gets tighter. Gotcha.
Yeah, and you gotta kind of pull it. You'll feel the wind on your bag. You gotta pull it down a little bit. But
yeah,
I guess that would be my only complaint about it. But
I've noticed that with a lot of jackets and stuff like that is, especially when you're seated, not when you're standing or walking or whatever, but when you sit down, especially your torso kind of elongates and it pulls the back up. Yeah, pulls that back up, and you keep them kidneys warm, dude. That's a big piece of staying warm. Yeah. So, but you got nice base layers with it too.
Yeah. I like those gloves I got too. They got the thumb and they're for bow hunting.
Yep.
Or warmer weather, but they got your fingers free and your thumbs free. Mm-hmm. I mean, for my thumb release with my bow, it gives me all the feel and everything I need. Gun season. I still kind of prefer the mechanics gloves. I wear those deer hide mechanics gloves. Yeah. I like them a lot.
You've liked those for a long time now.
But I do like those gloves too. Trying to remember the name of the hoodie. Yeah, but I would say that hoodie is probably my favorite piece.
Yeah.
It's got a nice little front zipper on the kangaroo pouch thing for your hands, and then on the front of the pouch, it's got a little zipper to store some stuff.
Right. So yeah, trying to get the wheel of names dialed all up with everybody before I forget anybody. But yeah, I didn't buy any Huntworth gear. I'm still working on my I run mostly the Drake stuff.
Yeah,
The waterfowl, the Drake, and the Drake non-typical stuff is what I ran. Just because they had a great end of season, like this time of the year, end of season sale on it, where it was like 65% off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was closeout, so you kind of had to pick and choose your sizes. And my top kind of doesn't match my bottom, but it's the same pattern, just doesn't quite match up. But yeah, it was pretty good. It's been good stuff. I like the bibs. The bibs I like a lot. One pair that I got that didn't quite fit me was a little small. I ended up selling to you for Liza.
Yeah.
So, and I know she likes those a lot.
Yeah.
They got nice stuff.
Drake's got nice stuff. There's a ton of nice stuff out there.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Just make sure we got everybody's. Dave, I see your comment. We're going to get to that in a second. Just making sure I got everybody. Tyler, Bo, Matt, Shanna. That's who I was forgetting. I knew I was forgetting somebody. Sorry, Shanna. I'll get you in. Shanna. And then Matt. Matt will probably give it to his brother Jordan if he wins it. I don't think Matt drinks that much. But yeah, so Dave says, what is frost seeding? So frost seeding is seed types like clover is typically what's used. You can frost seed like chicory, and you can frost seed alfalfa. It's not really as good. Typical clover is your best bet for frost seeding. But or mud seed, a lot of guys call it too in the spring, is you're spreading your clover seed into a food plot. I like using old
broadcasting.
Yeah, broadcasting it out. In the winter months when you have that freeze and thaw, that frost.
Kind of like March.
Yep, March. Or some people mud seed it in like April. But what that does is it allows for that soil, as you're getting that freeze and thaw, the ground expands, like you see it heave, and then contracts when it thaws. And then pulls the seed, because it's such a small seed, pulls that seed in enough, gets good seed soil contact, especially if you got something like a turnip plot or maybe a clover plot that you want to give a little bit of oomph going into the upcoming year, something like that. Frost seeding is typically used in those applications. Most of mine are coming out of turnip plots, so it's going to be pretty bare soil underneath them. So that's why they're going into clover for probably 2 to 3 years, depending on how they come out, really, basically.
Yeah, it's a method farmers have used for a long time for pastures and hay fields.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep that good stock of plants regrowing in it and stuff like that. So, so typically, like I said, it's done. You can do it right now. I like doing it when there is a little bit of snow on the ground and we're going to get like a real sunny, thawy day, like a 50s. Like you can kind of watch the weather, get like that 50s where it thaws out. And then that way you can see it kind of spread onto the snow, especially if you got like some coated seed, like your clovers will probably have an inoculant on them, which is a bacteria that helps them germinate. If they can't get it in the soil, it's a good idea to have inoculated clover in most situations. But yeah, frost seeding is a big piece of kind of keeping some of these clover plots going, keeping them rolling into different applications and stuff like that. So it's also a good time to get out. Donnie, great topic, good timing on that. I was literally just going to say, get out there, get soil test, and get liming on some of your food plots. So it leads right into Donnie's comment. Need to lay a lot of lime this season. Are there benefits to pellet versus powdered? I have a broadcast seeder, and I'm doing about 2,000 pounds an acre. Yeah, 2,000 pounds is a pretty standard, if that makes sense, especially down there, southern tier area, for a rate per acre. The pelletized will take, I guess, longer to break down than the powdered, but your pelletized is typically going to be cheaper in some instances if it's not pulverized. Yeah, it's less waste. Well, some less waste, yeah, for sure. But the smaller granules are going to get put into the soil a lot quicker. But the pelletized stuff, if it's like processed pelletized and not like pulverized, like
the idea.
It depends. Depends on what you're talking when it's pelletized.
The idea of the pelletized is that it has some weight to it and it actually falls on the ground. Where if you're just spreading powder, you have
get a lot of
that waste going into the air.
You do get a lot of waste. Yep.
Wind taking so much of
that
it.
is a good
spreading it. Yep. The whole idea of the pelletized is to get more of it
long term
onto the soil.
Yeah.
Weight it down.
That's a good point. But with the pelletized, it's kind of a slower release. The powder, where it is hitting the soil, is going to be quicker to amend the soil at the proper rate because it's a smaller particle. It can break down a lot quicker. It's where you can get it the cheapest. I would typically recommend buying it in bulk if you can, whether that's bag bulk or if you can buy a fertilizer buggy that's got it and get it to some of your plots. That's the most cost-effective way I found it, is buying it by the ton or whatever with the fertilizer buggy and taking it out there and doing that. So that's a good thing to do this time of year too. Big thing is getting your soil test. Like you said, 2,000 pounds an acre. You're going to get that with your soil test that you send out to. I usually use Whitetail Institute. It's really user friendly. It gives you good recommendations. Very good turnaround time, and I've had great results using it with that. But local co-ops do them. Local feed stores will do them too, especially if you're buying product through them down by a hunting camp or something like that. A lot of local feed mills will do your soil tests through a local extension, or maybe they have the capabilities on site too. Bo says, in my experience and camera data, I just don't see the deer using the clover as much as the turnip and winter rye food plots, but that much it might just be my area. It depends on the season. I mean, I've killed some deer over clover. If it's a warm season like this, it's definitely clover and cereal grains. If it's colder, it's brassicas, corn, soybeans, etc. Those cold, those where they need those carbohydrates in like corn and fat and corn and soybeans and stuff like that. They definitely slant toward that with colder temps and snow. But when it's green and open meaning no snow, it's clover that hasn't gone dormant and winter wheat. I mean, there was still 24 or so deer the other day up in Topfield. I remember I was telling you about that.
Winter wheat.
And that's winter wheat on one side. Well, that's a mix, so I guess that's not a fair representation. Winter wheat on one side, that's going into clover now, and then the clover side is going to be turned into turnips this year. It's a flip-flop plot. Most of my plots, half and half, are flip-flop. That way I can keep a turnip crop there and a clover plot to hunt it with different, seasonal, kind of shifts.
I'm a big alfalfa fan.
But the alfalfa is good too, especially a year like this, dude. The alfalfa is still green.
It's got everything they really need. And I don't know. I've seen it over multiple pieces that I've hunted. Yep. When the alfalfa is there, I see more deer throughout the entire season. When they remove the alfalfa and they plant it to corn, beans, triticale, blah, blah, whatever they're using, I just feel like the numbers I see of deer are lower.
Yeah.
You can argue that you see less deer when the corn's up because it's 8 feet tall, but because of the cover. But I mean, the beans and triticale can get pretty tall. You get into the wheats and all that stuff, but I don't know. I've just seen it. Like I start hunting a piece and it's got these huge alfalfa fields, and the deer use it all year long. Yep. And then they remove them. Then it's almost like those cereal grain plots, like the beans, the corn. Eventually, they get wore out.
Yeah.
Because you get the geese landing in them. You get the deer going out there. You get the turkeys. You get the bird. What other birds? What other animals? Squirrels are going out there. Everything's going out there and eating those grains. Once that grain's gone, it's gone.
Yep. Or picked, it's gone. Yeah.
I just feel like.
Yeah, there'll be some
alfalfa. So if you actually do the clover whatever mix, I like the idea of having alfalfa in it.
And that clover, that first year, I like putting a cereal grain like a wheat or a rye or an oat in with my clover too.
What about, what is it?
Triticale too.
Chicory?
Chicory's also in there typically too. That's a broadleaf.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like a big leaf you might find in your salad, kind of like. But I guess turnip leaves look like that too, because I mean kale.
Yeah,
Some people have kale in their salad too. So, but yeah, it's kind of like a long
But the tops,
lanceolate leaf.
You like to go in and eat the turnip tops.
Yep, and there's a lot of other stuff in those hay fields that they like to browse on too. So, a nice open winter like this, you're gonna find them in hay fields, dude. I could see a lot of sheds being found in hay fields this year, unless you got a farmer that couldn't get their crop off for corn. I was surprised, dude. They got the one field to the west of my piece off this year, and that usually never comes off. They hit that nice little dry window and picked it last week of gum, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right when I think you said your that one piece was getting done too. Same idea, right before muzzleloader. About the same time. Comments rolling in, missed a couple. Bo said I would look into plot start. I thought about plot start, trying that this year. Depends on, I'm due to do soil tests. It's been 3 years now. Usually every 3 years I do a soil test to check on my stuff. Just because I'm in fairly healthy, soil areas with most of my plots that I do. And we have a couple new plots we might be doing this year, so we'll be doing some testing this season.
A little experimenting.
I got a clover blend that I'm working on for the 100 proof or whatever you want to call it. And then the standard 100 proof with the turnip mix.
100 proof spring mix.
The 100 proof spring mix. The spring buck.
That's what I like. I like the spring mix.
Yep. So we got some experiments out there. We got some individuals trying some of the blends out for us that reached out to us when we were putting those together and starting that up. And then I got Nate's out there batched up for his piece, and then another couple batched up for a couple of my test plots for this spring. So still working on it, making sure the kinks are good.
Experimenting with the spring mix this year.
Mix. Yep.
Or whatever you want to call it. You call it whatever. I'm just calling it spring.
I like the spring mix.
Well, that's when you plant it.
Yeah, you can spring plant it or you can fall plant it.
Yeah, I guess so.
With the cereal grain.
But if you plant it in the fall, you're not going to see any results till the following year anyways.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I usually put it in with like a
Depends on the
wheat
winter.
or a rye.
This winter, you might see results early.
Yeah, this year it'd be popping already.
I'm pretty sure my mom's,
should be popping.
One of my mom's flowering trees has already got buds on it.
Oh, yeah, that's the one thing I'm worried about, dude. That's why I haven't trimmed my fruit trees
apple
yet.
farmers. It stays like this. We get one frost.
Get a hard freeze in with it.
They're screwed.
Yeah, just got to keep it out of those 50s, dude. Bo says, been interested in alfalfa. Jim Ward plants and all of his trails Roundup Ready alfalfa. If you got the soil conditions for that, alfalfa is pretty.
It's pretty cold hardy too.
It's pretty cold hardy, but I was gonna say it's got to have pretty basic soil. It's got to be really close to that 7 mark. It doesn't like acidic soil. It likes more basic soil. So that's one thing with alfalfa. Roundup Ready alfalfa is expensive. Well, alfalfa as a whole is fairly expensive, but Roundup alfalfa is very expensive, as is any kind of GMO kind of plant, because all the extra work and stuff and patents that go into it, basically. So, yeah. But yeah, Roundup Ready alfalfa, or you can use a clover blend in those spots, chicory blend. Big thing is getting adequate sunlight to those spots for those forage trails. And Jim Ward, he's been doing it for decades. And I was happy. I got to meet him at a QDMA seminar. I was actually talking about that with my wife when I was revising my resume the other day. She's like, first of the year, you should have a fresh resume ready in case something happens. I was like, oh, okay. So we were looking at my QDMA things, and I got talking about the Habitat seminar where I met Jim Ward. Great guy, super knowledgeable. He actually used to build sand tables because he was a Marine, and he used to build like sand tables and when he first started, like building sand tables to like show like the topography on the pieces he was laying out. So he'd like build models basically of the properties he was doing work on. It's super cool, super in depth, and he kills phenomenal deer every year. Brad tuning in. Hey Brad, saw a ton of deer, including mature bucks, hitting the brown and dried soybean fields more than even before in October. Walked past oats and grains to get to the beans for a solid hour or so before heading to cut corn. Really unusual experience for us. Yeah, usually I see the opposite of that. Usually I'd see them in the grains and the hay fields and that kind of stuff before going into those brown beans.
Was there a green blanket under the beans?
Yeah, that's true. Was there some growth under the beans? We did have a longer growing season,
The
so maybe
farmer's
the
equipment,
beans.
how much spill
Yeah,
did the farmer's equipment have?
yeah. Well, he's saying brown dried out beans.
Brown
So
dried out beans.
yeah, which is like I said, that's just odd for me. It just seems, past oats and grains to get to the beans for a solid hour or so before heading to cut corn. Hmm. Again, I mean that's where your in-season scouting comes into play for knowing where the hot food source is on your
I mean, if
piece or
those,
neighborhood. But definitely a
so
good
they were
good
walking
topic.
through
Yeah,
the other
walking.
stuff to go to the beans.
Correct. Correct. According to Brad's comment. Yep.
So they weren't going from bedding, crossing the beans. I say if they're just going from bedding to crossing the beans, then yeah, they're gonna nibble on it.
Well, unless the beans are adjacent to bedding, and that's why they're hitting it first. But he's saying they're walking past oats and grains to get to the beans for a solid hour before heading to cut corn after that.
Some good beans.
Yeah, maybe they're just full up of browse, and maybe they had a good pocket of greenbrier and green browse back in the thing. That makes a little bit of sense because we stayed green so late. We never really got a killing frost. There was a lot of goldenrod and blackberry and other green forages that would typically be in that hayfield kind of scenario that were still green this year because they never really died out. So that does make a little bit of sense because we were kind of so unseasonably warm this year. But again, that's where your in-season scouting and stuff like that kind of comes into play with it. Actually, before we do this, I want to do a fresh pop for the new year because I just killed my last bottle of Blanton's, so I'm going to pop one of these. Quiet on set. Yeah.
Nice pop.
Nice pop.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Would you like a little pour?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Just figured I'd ask. But anyway, Bo says, what's your favorite chainsaw for habitat work?
DeWalt Electric.
If you're doing tree stand work, I do like that DeWalt Electric, both the standard one and the pole saw one. Very quiet, very light. Don't gotta carry the gas and stuff with you, just an extra battery or two or whatever. Packs in really nice. I have a Husqvarna. I can't even think of the model right off of the old steel that I got that was Hannah's grandfather's. Typically, if I'm cutting bigger stuff, my Husqvarna, because it's a little bit bigger than my steel, it's just a size and preference thing. I mean, like I said, I have a Husqvarna, I have a steel,
Depends on the size of the job.
I have a DeWalt, I have a freaking Poulan that I use once in a while. Poulan.
Pull on.
Yeah, pull on and pull on. But if I'm cutting for a long time and not cutting a lot of big timber, stuff
bigger
over
stuff, you get the gas saw.
Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously.
With that little DeWalt Electric hogs through some.
Yeah.
I mean, 8-inch tree. I wasn't
Yeah.
even bad an eye with it.
Yeah, soft tree, couple of them or something like that. But if you're cutting all day, yeah, I'm probably gonna reach for that little steel that I got. That works really good. It's not a top handle one. It's a regular two-handed one. But I do like that. I do like that. That steel one I got that was Hannah's grandfather's. That saw's always been a good runner. And I can run it all day. Super light, super easy going. Cut trees that I probably had no business cutting size-wise with it. But yeah, they got the job done. I would say always bring two, because you're gonna eventually, if you cut enough trees, you're gonna probably pinch a bar at some point. You're gonna get a little bit of wind swirl, get a back leaner, something like that, and have to cut it out. So wedges are your best friend. I would say wedges and a good sharp chain. And if you don't know how to sharpen a chain, you can take them to places like Phelps Mercantile. They run a chainsaw sharpening special. I usually watch their Facebook page like a hawk. They do $2 fucking sharpens. So I'll just take my chains there. I got probably between my 3-4 saws, I probably got a dozen chains or whatever. I'll just take them all there and be like, hey, here you go, $25. All my chains are sharpened. they do the rakers, they do everything.
Here you go, Mike. Donna.
But if not, I just sit in the garage one night, put the tunes on the TV, and just grind away with my little grinder.
There's some pretty basic jigs you can buy on Amazon that aren't too difficult.
I got a little Dremel basically that hooks up to a little lawnmower battery, and then you get the angle that's on the Dremel, and you just keep that angle with it. And you just work it, check your edge, and then usually I give it a wipe with a piece of leather cloth or something like that to get the burr off, and check it. But that's kind of my favorite, is that steel one. I guess if I had to pick a favorite, but that Husky is my workhorse. If I'm cutting big stuff, 16 inches plus, I'm probably going to grab that Husky. Just because it's got more horsepower.
I got my Johnson Red.
The old Johnson Red.
Johnson Red.
I don't even know if that thing's got a brake on it.
Beast.
The thing you gotta pull start it with a freaking two guys.
I got a what is it, a McCulloch?
Oh, that McCulloch. That's what I'm thinking.
That monster McCulloch.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Where is that?
By your TV and your chainsaw rack, right?
Is it still there?
I think so.
I think it's a beast.
Well, it was last time I was over there.
That's
the deer shed's been a little crowded this year, so. But yeah. Bo says okay, so we got that one. Just scrolled on me. Brad says the DeWalt hedge trimmer is a secret weapon for setting stands. Yeah, no, we're giving away all the secrets today. That DeWalt battery powered pull saw goes into 3 pieces. You screw it together. A full tank should last you all day. Trimming stands just about.
That pull saw
and the little battery hander.
Battery handsaw. I mean,
yeah,
that's really all you need.
Yeah, those things are the nuts.
Unless you're practically logging out there, that's all you need.
Yeah, yeah. If you're just trimming out stands, especially if you've done them before.
I mean, even hinge cutting, just bring that little battery saw.
Yeah, if you got to block a couple trails by a stand, that thing's the nuts, and you don't got to start it.
Quiet, you just pull
the loudest part is the chain going around on the bar.
Pull the trigger. Don't smell.
Nope.
No exhaust.
Nope. That's definitely Brad with the comment right there. Secret weapon. Giving away the secret weapons. Maybe that's one of our YouTube videos. The secret weapon is trimming tree stands. Everybody will be looking into it with the algorithm.
Yeah. Get sponsored by DeWalt.
Dave says, "What are you paying for Blanton's? Can't find it for any less than $99." I've been pretty blessed. The couple places I've bought it, I've seen it other places, obviously, but never bought it. I try to buy everything I can at retail. This was, I think it just bumped up a little bit. I think it's $67 now, $67.99 is what I paid for this one. I think the last one I bought for like $58 when I bought last year. So it jumped up a little bit, but MSRP. I'm not a huge fan of Blanton's, but I think it's, something kind of cool for opening up for the new year. And it had a little baggie with it, and I've never had a Blanton's bag, so I went with that. As well as anybody commenting in to the show tonight is automatically entered for the last Woodford bottle. We only have 7 names entered, so anybody that's tuning in right now, if you comment in to join in the conversation, you got a pretty good chance of winning that nice 3 of 3 Woodford bottle. Yep. A nice little pinter. But
so I did get a request.
Got a request
from a friend of mine.
Okay.
So everybody that's been watching the podcast is most likely aware of Jesse. He's been on here. He's my most entertaining guest.
Yep.
He's probably my most entertaining.
Jesse's a fan favorite.
I think he's my most entertaining friend.
Mm-hmm.
But so over the weekend, this past weekend, his family, his father owns a camp out near Naples, and we went up there for afternoon and stayed overnight, and then hunted the morning.
A little deer camp with the guys. I did not realize that Jesse's dad, he frequents the podcast. Yeah.
He was talking to me about it a little bit, and he says, "So that's all I got to do." He goes, "I was trying to win the last bottle."
Right.
He goes, "But I didn't understand it because it's not exactly computer savvy."
Yeah.
But he goes, he says he was talking to Jesse. Jesse said, "Well, you just got to comment in." So Dan, if you're listening, this is your reminder.
Yep.
And I want to give you a shout out. Thanks for the invite and the hospitality over the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Dan, we sat down to play some cards, and Dan goes over to his little pantry thing in his cabin, and he pulls out this little wrapped gift, about like this big.
Yep.
Probably no bigger than the average wallet, really.
Mm-hmm.
And he sets it on the table, and he doesn't say anything. Me and a couple of other guys there just assumed it was for Jesse, because he kind of said it in front of Jesse. Jesse was telling a story or something.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse gets done talking. He picks it up. He goes, Dad, is this for me? He goes, yeah, you can open it. He goes, anybody can open it. So Jesse rips it open. Last thing I would have expected it to be. Well, Dan just got a new dog.
Mm-hmm.
So Jesse opens it up, and what it is the little baggies you pick the dog poop up with for like when you're walking around parks, right?
Yeah.
So I thought it was a joke on Jesse saying, like Jesse's got to go pick up his dog's poop. Ha ha ha. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like picking on his
Yeah.
son.
Whoever's picking the bag is the one that's got to go pick up the shit.
So we're all kind of like chuckling and laughing, like, oh, this is for. I think Jesse knew what it was for, but the rest of us never even crossed my mind. Dan goes, no. He goes, those are heart bags.
Oh yeah, man.
I was like, there you go. A little tip there, I guess.
We've done that. We've done bread bags a lot. We've used those in the past for the heart bags.
I mean, you think
like
that the purpose for the bag is actually for dog poop,
mm-hmm.
but it's just a bag.
Right.
And they're pretty cheap, and you get them all in a roll.
Big roll.
Perfect size. Perfect size for a deer heart.
Yep. 50 count. Freaking last you a lifetime just about.
So Jesse grabbed them, shoved them in his pack. He had his heart bags.
Yep. There you go.
So I thought that was kind of funny.
That's a little unfortunate. Last couple I've shot.
And then Dan looks at me and he goes, you talk about that on the podcast.
I will.
I said, all right, Dan. I'll bring it up. So there you go, Dan.
And I would say definitely one of the most underutilized pieces from a deer harvest is deer heart.
Yeah, well, the doe I shot with a muzzleloader Thursday, the day before we went up to the camp.
Yep.
Jesse helped me drag it out of the woods or whatever Thursday, and he goes, give me the heart. He goes, I'll get it all marinated. We'll fry it up there at camp next day.
Yeah.
So, and then Jesse got a doe Friday up there at camp,
mm-hmm.
and so we cooked up both of the hearts right there, and we had venison steak, potatoes, onions.
Yeah.
And then while we're playing cards, Jesse cooked the hearts up and stuff, and it was good. They were very good.
I'll put it right in the fry pan with the inner loin or whatever, dude, and you won't know the difference. You really won't. It's such a good cut of meat, and it gets left behind a lot of places. There's some other stuff I'd like to try in the future. Liver, I've tried liver before. I've never really gotten into liver. I know some people say you soak it in milk. It gets better. But
I've had venison liver. I do like beef liver. Liver and onions.
Yeah, I've had venison liver and onions, and I don't know. Maybe it's just the thought that it's liver.
Salt, pepper, flour. Fry it in the cast iron with the caramelized onions.
Never done the oysters either.
Pull it out. Drizzle some ketchup on it.
Yeah, we could have a whole show on cooking. We could have a live cooking show.
That was actually Platt's idea.
Yeah,
last year
with the cookbook idea.
Yeah, we were gonna have people send in recipes.
Now that we're a little bigger, maybe.
Yeah, maybe we could do something like that. Eventually.
A couple comments rolled in. Russ says, "Bring on the Woodford brother." Russ, we got you entered. My mom commenting in, obviously probably watching with my dad. Just Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year, Mom and Dad. Then Opie comments in, says Happy New Year, fellas. Thanks, Opie.
Happy New Year.
A lot of familiar faces, always. We appreciate you folks very much with it. So I know we're getting about 53 minutes in with it. So we've got off-season plans, kind of the season recap we've touched on. Do we want to dive into the other controversial topics tonight? Stir the pot a little bit? Or do we want to save it for another night? I don't know. Does anybody else got another topic they want to dive into tonight before we dive into something else? It was just something I saw today, kind of today specifically, because I think
we touched on it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So
it is a big topic on the social media.
It has been, especially of late. Obviously, the dogs for tracking, recovering deer, etc. Obviously, we can't hunt with dogs or whatever you want to call it in New York. But the use of tracking dogs, I think it's, Bo says, let's get controversial. We're not talking crossbows, Bo. Just settle down. But with the dogs for tracking, I think everybody should take. This is my 2 cents on the whole topic, and this is where somebody might not like this. Take the extra time and get very familiar with your weapon. And I challenge you to shoot 3 times as much as you shot your weapon this year and going into next year. So if you shot your bow once a week, shoot it 2 or 3 times a week. If you shot your rifle 2 times, let's just say before opening day, shoot it a couple weeks before opening day. Shoot it, get familiar with it, whatever. Put some range time in with these weapons, and I think people will get a lot, more. The other thing that I want to talk to people about is patience with that, waiting for a shot, waiting for the right shot. And again, I mean, rushing a shot that you maybe shouldn't take, not a good angle for the deer and stuff like that. I passed a lot of shots with the muzzle loader specifically this year because it wasn't good angle. Yeah, that's kind of my take on the dog thing. I think it's a great tool. I've never actually found any of the deer with the dog that I've called out a dog for in the past. I didn't call out a dog for D this year, but he made it through when I got to watch him breed a doe. So, I mean, he's obviously still kicking.
Mm-hmm. He looks pretty healthy.
Yeah, he's healthy. I zipped him through the top of the backstrap. That was just whether he dropped on the shot or whatever he did, misjudged the yardage maybe a little bit, buck fever, all that also adds into it too. So, but yeah, that's I don't know. That's my take with the dogs thing. I think if you're, I think it's a good thing to have available, and I would say use a good tracker. There's a lot of good ones around, and your success rate will increase with that. And they know people are like, well, they didn't even come out to my shot or my hit. They know the high percentage tracks, and they're a volunteer group, and they're going to take the high percentage track over a shoulder hit or a high hit like mine. Like a lot of guys probably wouldn't take that track. If it's liver and you can let them go 20 to 30 hours, a tracker's going to take that track 9 times out of 10 because that's a higher success yielded track in most cases. I don't know. That's my soapbox on tracking dogs.
Tracking dogs? I think.
Well, Ted found mine the one year.
Yeah, my chocolate lab.
Yep.
He finds rotten stuff.
Yeah, he was a little bit. Stuff. He was a little bit past. I
don't know if he's like a fresh blood tracker, but if it's dead and been rotten for a little while, he'll find it. But, yep. I don't know. My take on the tracking dogs. I had a little thought earlier this year, watching stuff on social media. It seems like a ton of people that shot deer. Is it just like a? It just seems like it's a common thing now. You shoot a deer, you get out of there, and you just call a dog. Don't even bother trying to track it.
Yep.
Or, I mean, and then to touch a little bit on what you said, I said, I know life's busy. I mean, we all are living it, but if you're going to go out there and you're going to, throw bullets or arrows at a live animal, at least try and do the animal some justice and put your time in to practice with it. Don't just grab the bow, blow the dust off of it, and go running out into the woods. I mean, I don't think that's fair to the animal.
Right.
It's not really fair to you because you're going to be heartbroken, and that animal's going to be in agonizing pain for however long.
Yeah.
But definitely do your due diligence, I think, and shoot your bows, and get familiar with your weapon.
Yep.
But
I think that
the whole dog thing, I think it's a useful tool.
It can be abused.
I think.
Well,
and then if you do call a dog, make sure it's good and reputable, because you don't want to spend the money or whatever on what it is.
The donation.
Donation. I know it's supposed to be voluntary or whatever, but.
Yep, unless you have a guide license, then it's legal. But
yeah. If you're going to put the time in, make sure you look into it. I understand. I mean, sometimes tracks dry up and people, it is tough to track.
Hard conditions. I mean, you were on some tough tracks this year.
Helping my buddy Jesse out, and Jesse came out and helped me. Because sometimes you shoot a deer with a muzzleloader, and they don't bleed
even,
for 40, 50
even
yards.
that doe that I came out and helped you track, I mean, we knew where you hit her just about, and then we were literally methodically too, not just get 6 buddies and sweep a woods or something like that. Like we were methodically looking at trails, trying to find out where that deer went in because there wasn't a whole lot of blood. And a lot of folks, dude, with past experience with other people whose tracks I've been on and stuff, a lot of guys give up, dude. If you don't find blood or don't see the deer drop, a lot of guys think they missed it or never hit it or whatever. But like even Curly this year, the deer dropped maybe 7 drops of blood. Heart shot. Ran 100 yards. Heart shot. Dead run. Maybe half dozen spots of blood I found. Dozen max. And a lot of guys, dude, would have been like, I must have missed him, dude. I didn't see him pile up. Didn't hear him pile up. I was like, a lot of folks would have been like, I can't find no blood. There was no blood on impact, no hair on impact. And I found like half a dozen, maybe dozen drops within the first 50 yards, and that was it.
And Jesse brought this up, and I totally agree with him. When he showed up, and I called him. I was like, I don't know, man. I found some. Sometimes if you're the guy that shoots the animal, you're a little worked up, you're a little frazzled, you're a little, in the moment, I guess.
Yep.
You can be excited, and maybe you're not thinking 100%. And if you call somebody in like a buddy and get a second set of eyes on it, someone who's, I guess, a little more calmer about the situation, that isn't as invested into it, like they can actually kind of get it started a little bit easier for you. And Jesse did that for me with this muzzleloader doe. He's like, well, man, he goes, if you need a hand, I come out. He goes, it doesn't hurt to get a second set of eyes on it. And I was like, I don't know. I said, I got some white hair here. I'm like, I think I might have shot low and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, you want me to come out or not? I'm like, yeah, get out here.
Yeah, Ben's got COVID.
I'm like, I can't believe. I'm like, Ben's got COVID. I'm like, yeah, get out here. I was like, she was at like 30, 35 yards. I said, I had the crosshairs right dead. I'm like, I can't believe I shot low. I was like, maybe if she was like at 15 yards, I could see maybe that bullet, because if you're aiming with your scope, that bullet has it. But I'm like, 30 yards. He's like, 30 yards, you should have crushed her. So Jesse comes out. I couldn't drive my truck up there because it was too wet. It was a really foggy night Thursday. And we get up there, and we walk him over to where I found the hair, and he finds a little more, and he picks it up. He goes, no, that's brown hair. And I was like, what do you mean it's brown hair? He goes, look at the tips. He got looking at the tips, and I was like, yeah, so you're totally right. He goes, yeah. He goes, I think you crushed her. Maybe 100 yards we found her.
Yep.
But yeah, I wasn't thinking. I was just looking at the hair on the ground. And he brought up a good point that I didn't even think of, is that all their under hair is white.
The inner side of the hair. Yep, the inside.
The inside of the hair. It's just the tips you see on the outside.
That hold the color pigment. Yep.
So he had enough thought and whatever to go over, pick it up, and actually look at the tips. He goes, no, that's solid brown hair. But me looking at it from standing up, and being frazzled or wherever I was like, oh, it's all white.
Yeah.
So I guess that's, you could call that maybe a rookie move on my part or whatever. I don't know, but.
Well, like you said, it's that second set of eyes,
But he came in, he was like, nah. He goes, which way was she facing when you shot? And just typical shit that I would normally do, but I was frazzled in the moment.
Yep. And
he came in, and she was facing this way. He went over to the trail. He kind of walked in, and I don't know, probably he's like, well, there's a fresh, footprints here. So he followed them a little ways. He goes, then I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, we got blood right there, and we had good blood, and we ended up finding her in like 10 minutes.
Right, but that's a good tip or whatever with folks is any little detail you can remember after the shot, whether it's they went landmark. A landmark,
especially a distance shot.
Especially if you're going distance out
100 plus.
Out in the field is tough to be able to pinpoint where they went in. Where they went in is typically about the easiest. Where you hit might not be unless you have snow.
It's even harder with a muzzleloader because you got to wait a few seconds for
you got that smoke
cloud
to
to clear.
Yeah. But for example, with Hornet or whatever, we didn't find hardly any blood with him either for the first till he got out of the field and we found the arrow.
He was a little high though, wasn't he?
Touch high.
He was a touch high, and the blood had to work its way out and down.
Yep, out and down the side.
He had to fill up and drain out, really.
Yeah, but he was
toast. He double lugged him.
Yeah. But yeah, there wasn't a whole lot, and early season, even late season now too. There's so much fat, and if you're shooting a rifle and not shooting a slug gun or even a muzzleloader or something, you don't have a big bleeder hole, dude, anymore.
Yeah, if you're one of them crazy 6'5" guys like me.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't find a whole lot of blood.
We didn't find any blood on my buck last year.
No. Well, you found a couple around the edge. Or no, there was no
belly. I saw a belly.
The belly, that's what it was.
In the woods.
Yep.
Pile up against a tree.
Yep. And that's the same thing, like we said, is, a lot of folks, I've seen people give up on that. An old neighbor of mine who's no longer a neighboring parcel owner, we used to call it, kind of lack of a better term, we used to call it Tommy's tree at the farm. And somehow, Nate, magically, all the 1.5-year-olds that I used to find dead every year kind of magically disappeared when he sold. Just wondering. But, I think it was a fact of if he didn't see that deer drop, he almost literally gave up almost on it. Like, it's like, oh, that deer's fine. Yeah, I mean, there's been some ones, obviously, down here that have whole place cross board. Watched them die in front of me. Watched them go 100 yards and pile up. Watched them, not pile up within sight. And then there's other ones that I chased the shit out of. Like, like Outlaw. Chased the shit out of them that day, tried to find them, and then killed them a year later. So, but yeah, that's, the big thing is finding landmarks, trying to remember how they were, when the shot happened, way they were facing, like Jesse said, is a great tip. Way they were going after the shot, if you can, remember that. All that stuff's really good.
A lot of times where they came out, they're going to try and get back to there because they were safe coming out of there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's a good point,
A lot of times they will try and go back to where they
know it was good.
They know they were safe.
So. Yeah. Brad comments in with a real good comment. It says, take a pic with your cell phone from the stand to mark the last spot where you saw that deer run. Can really help when locating on the track. 100%. If you say, take a picture, the deer was there. And you're like, oh, that cherry tree right here is where that deer went in. Mm-hmm. Give you a real good reference point. Very good point, Brad. Absolutely.
Especially if you have the light to do it.
Yeah, especially if you're looking at like an afternoon shot and after dark, you're like, what was in the picture? A cherry tree. Okay, there's cherry tree, deer trail. Yeah, that's probably it. Good, real good comment, Brad. Brad says, heading to Ohio Friday for muzzleloader. I forgot Ohio's still open. Finally had a good buck show up there in daylight today, and then time to rest and shed hunting postseason scouting. Yeah, that's about where we're at with it, other than the Ohio part of it.
Suffolk County.
Yeah, the downstate.
I got an invite.
Did you?
Liza's cousin told me, come down, January 7th. He goes, our gun season opens. I said, can you put me in front of a 180? He goes, it's a possibility.
Yeah, down on Long Island? It's definitely a possibility.
I was like, I don't know. I have time. If I could get the father-in-law to agree to it, I might take some time off. Bring the shotgun down to Suffolk County.
That'd be a good time.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Might be able to do some fishing out in the Sound because that's what they do for profession.
Oh, professional guides, fishing guides?
No, they're market fishermen.
Oh, market fishermen. They're not even guide fishermen. Market guys. No. Oh, that's a living.
Yeah. You make a living doing it down there. That's what they do.
All right. So about an hour 10 in it. We don't want to go too long for everybody. All the episodes are over on YouTube. If you're checking this out live, if you want to tune back into an earlier part of the episode and watch the whole thing, we really do appreciate that. My wife says there's sandwiches upstairs. So we're going to draw the name for the last Woodford Bottle. So last chance on getting in for this Woodford Bottle, and we'll save the other topic for the next episode. We'll put the little list up there. We'll let last comments come in for last entries for the bottle. All you gotta do is comment in tonight to get entered. Russ Jacobs comment: my dad was a surveyor. He would always flag as he tracked. Helps make sense of it. Yeah, another tip and trick of the trade: roll of shitter paper.
Shitter paper.
Always got to roll of shitter paper, and not like a full square. Take a square off, and you can make 8, 10 pieces of that. And when you're tracking along a trail, what that lets you do is look back, and you can see, and you can get angles. That came into play a lot when we were tracking D this past year. Again, didn't find him, but we could use that line of reference to the way he was traveling to kind of get a feel for how that deer was moving.
Easy to see behind you.
Yeah. Easy to see. White picks up really good. Biodegradable. Another good plus with it. That's gone with the first rain. And yeah. So with that being said, we have 11 entries tonight.
11.
On the wheel of names. Let me check YouTube. Be fair, I'll check YouTube. Nothing on YouTube tonight. YouTube's been a little slow lately. 11.
Keith broke his back.
Yep.
Spinal. What you do, Keith?
Yeah.
Broke my back.
So we have 11 entries tonight for this, and we're going to click to spin the winner of the last Woodford Bottle and see what we get. So we're spinning. And it's going to be...
Shanna, she's lucky.
You got to be... wins the Woodford Bottle. I'll get a hold of her afterwards, and we'll make sure she gets her the last of the Woodford bottles.
Three of three
to bring in the 2024 year. So we don't know.
Whiskey drinker?
I don't know. Maybe she'll pop over here to the bar and have a pour.
Maybe, probably
pick it up. She's not far away, but yeah, everybody, thank you guys so much for the support. The 12 Whiskeys of a Christmas were a hit for everybody. Russ was one of the winners for that. I can't remember everybody with it. Andy Allerton, we talk about. He was one of the 12
Did he
Whiskeys.
pick it up?
Yep.
We finally got it.
Yep, I met Andy.
Is he going to do deer next year?
I don't know. I didn't talk to him very much. Met him over at Can-Am.
Pretty quiet guy.
Yep. Keeps to himself, which is all good. And then Joe met up with him, got him his bottle. Yeah.
Arbogast. Jesse
Yep.
was another winner. We actually polished off that bottle up there at camp, right?
Oh, went up to camp.
That bottle went up to camp.
That'll have to be the infinity bottle. You guys will have to keep filling that at camp.
I think we all might have got a pour and a half out of it. There's 5 of us up there. So
yeah. Shanna says, love you guys. Thank you, Shanna, for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in for just about the whole show.
Yeah.
If not the whole show. And we'll get a hold of you to get the time lined up to get that. And yeah, thank you guys so much for making 2023 a great year for us.
Yeah.
Hopefully 2024 we can get this uploaded onto all the major podcast networks. That's the goal for Apple, Spotify, all that stuff.
Go big time.
We're tech illiterate. We do the best we can.
Yeah.
So thank you guys, and we'll catch you all next time down here in the bar.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. See you.
Be good, Bo. Nice.